Senator Sanders retweeted something you had to say last week to Becky during your Squawk hit about how you're done with fossil fuels. And Sanders basically says, why are Wall Street investors giving up?
Well, I want to be very careful what I'm saying, which is that the stocks I'm done with. I think fossil fuels are here to stay, whether they like it or not. But you know what? It's not just me. I mean, you go read this unbelievable piece by Goldman Sachs. Exxon downgraded to sell. Challenge free cash flow. What this says, basically, if you read between the lines, is these are now wasting assets. We're going to wean ourselves off of oil, and it's here sooner than we think, which means the growth prospects, free cash flow, particularly also natural gas, are down. And I am not, I mean, a lot of the executives in the industry reach out to me and says, you know, we can't get rid of fossil fuels. I said, guys, it has nothing to do with getting rid or not. It has to do with the stocks. I mean, there's a lot of millennials don't want to. I mean, the cash flows may not be there.
You know, we've talked about this, particularly over the last few months, as ESG. We keep hearing about it, and people think, well, what are they talking about? Why is this? But the assets that have moved into these strategies that at least include a look at sustainability or governance or any number of other important aspects that go beyond just a simple return on capital, invested capital, or any other metrics you want to typically use, are growing sizably. And with BlackRock's announcement of a couple of weeks ago, regardless of how much of it was a publicity stunt or not, you have to consider that the number of active managers who are available to actually be the incremental buyer of a stock like Exxon or Chevron is shrinking.
It's shrinking. And David, you know, one of the things that changed my mind, I spent a lot of time with Satya Nadella. Okay, now that is one of the two largest companies on earth. And what he doesn't want to talk about Azure. He wants to talk about rolling back all the carbon that his company has ever had. And then he's talking about scope one, you've got these different stages where what happens is they want their suppliers to cut back on carbon.
Yes.
And then you see, where's the demand for cars, Tesla? And then you start thinking about countries, states, maybe California, that say, look, it can't be this. And then you can say, why do I really want to be in the stock of Exxon? It yields 5.6, but so what?
Well, to that point, on Chevron's call Friday, the CFO said they can expand cash flow from operations with less CapEx than their peers. So why can't they buy our love? Because adjust their cash flow and just give us a little, a treat here and there with the dividend.
I think the answer is how does a company like Chevron become carbon neutral?
One of these companies is going to make a significant change and step in that direction. I don't know who will be first.
Someone's going to plant a billion trees to offset what they do.
And/or significantly make a diversion in their business model.
Yes.
Not that they're going to wean themselves from fossil fuel,
to
but
social media.
They are going to do something that is significant beyond, I don't know, maybe they'll buy every windmill in the world. I don't know.
Look, Mark Benioff has been vocal from Salesforce. Look, this is about planting 1 trillion trees to offset. I mean, how about if Chevron says, you know what, we're going to repopulate the Amazon with trees.
Right.
And we're going to offset what we do. You know what, I think we'd have to sit here and say, you know what, maybe there's good ones and there's ones that aren't as good. Maybe that's possible.
To the point, the world's still going to be using 100 million barrels of this stuff every day.
Right, but the shareholder base. I mean, I remember when I was leading a protest at Harvard for them to divest South Africa, and what was amazing was it became very self-fulfilling. I mean, the stocks were going down every day, so I wasn't coming at it, by the way. I said, listen, I hate apartheid. But I also said, do you care about your return? If you care about return, you can't be in these stocks. The money managers are fleeing South Africa. Well, it does feel the same way.
Again, if one of these companies, now listen, it's hard to imagine in some ways, but does something significant and sees a real reaction in the equity markets as a result, that could be a moment.
Right.
It's not going to stop them having to get this stuff out of the ground, refine it, and sell it.
But you look at Parsley Energy and Brian Sheffield. I had Matt Gallagher on. Brian Sheffield, son of Scott Sheffield, legendary pioneer. And he goes, look, we're getting down to only flaring 5%. There's a lot of oils that flare 25, 30%. Well, those are companies. You put, if the Sierra Club gets their list, then I tell you, you're going to see protests. Yeah, I have been involved with protests, and they don't always work.
The U.S. government no longer has cut back on all of these regulations, is going to be superseded by the desires of investors?
I think that the government can do whatever it wants. You're never going to buy coal. This is about having.
Are you going to flare methane, which,
Well, they can't. About, they're saying, partially saying they have to cut down if they ever want to if they ever want millennials to buy them. It isn't like at Robinhood they're lining up 10 million accounts. They don't have a lot of people buying.
So fewer marginal buyers.
That's it.
Yeah.